get together with people. Do it however you can. People are losing connection. My focus is not just on like recipes, but also on like how you can invite people over, how you can be social and not be intimidated, not be stressed out by it, because it's what I hear all the time. I want to be focused. I want to feel positive. There are certain types of foods that do not elevate my energy level. I'm not trying to stay skinny. I'm just trying to feel like strong. I wouldn't just kind of overhaul your pantry, your fridge, your diet, your meal plan overnight, because that also will be met with a lot of resistance from your family. I do believe, though, in meal plans. Ultimately, the reason I started my business was just to help people cook more from scratch. I don't really care what you cook. I just, to cook more. So, what are you going to do to make that easier for you? You don't have to do everything from scratch. Maybe one day you're going to be like, you know what? I'd like to try and make my own whatever sauce. Like, great. I also have always encouraged my community and my students to try and make a connection between what you eat and how you feel. That to me is just how I live.
Welcome. We're Amanda and Gabriella, mother and daughter and founders of Movement Living. We're on a mission to help women live well and age better.
This is the Movement Living podcast. We interview fascinating people who will inspire you to be confident in your skin as you age and share practical tools to make it happen.
Join the thousands of women who receive our free wellness newsletter at movementliving.com. We curate the best of wellness, bringing you fresh ideas and practical tips every Monday morning.
We're so glad you're here.
This episode is presented by Therabody. Therabody is a global leader in wellness technology. And what that means for you is that they make products that will help you live well and age better. Gabriella and I have been fans of Therabody for years. We're excited to introduce you to some of their amazing products.
We know their products are safe, backed by science, and they really work.
Today, we're chatting with Pamela Salzman, a celebrated cooking instructor, recipe developer, and author who's passionate about teaching people how to cook simple, healthy meals at home.
This was such a fun and inspiring conversation. I'm someone who loves hosting and having people over for dinner, but I can find it real stressful. Pamela had so many good tips to actually make cooking for 1, 2, or 20 people easy.
Pamela has such a gift for making healthy cooking doable and enjoyable. We know you'll walk away with ideas that you can put into practice right away. Let's hear from Pamela now. Pamela, welcome to Movement Living. It is so wonderful to have you here today. Before we get into the interview, I would love to just ask you, what do you love about the age you are right now?
Really enjoyed my age. I know that a lot of people fear getting older, but my age has come with a lot of freedom as well as a lot of wisdom and the reinforcement of the fact that I always knew that I was a very resilient person, but that has been reinforced. And I also know that I am still able to change. I have flexibility with my life, but I am still strong and I can still get stronger. And I think 10 years ago, looking at the age I am now, I thought that maybe it was like all over. And it's been really empowering, actually, to have that knowledge.
That's such a great answer. I love that. We'd love to hear a little bit more about you. What were some of the aha moments that led you to where you are today?
There have been a lot of aha moments. I'll tell you the truth. My personality is one of being a planner. And it's also, I think, my life lesson that you can't always plan. So it's been something that I've really had to grapple with. I would say that when I was looking to go back to work, I started to realize that I did have something to share that maybe I hadn't planned on sharing. So I had always thought I was going to go and do this like corporate work, and that's what I had been doing. And then all my friends would always ask me, how do you do this? How do you cook for your family? How is it not stressful for you? How do you go to the farmer's market? That's so intimidating. How do you put your grocery list together? How do you meal plan? I mean, we're talking 30 years ago, right? And slowly I realized like I have actually something that I can share with people that's more meaningful than pushing the bottom line of a corporation. And people kept asking me and asking me. And, what I didn't realize is that I had really asked the universe for guidance in terms of like, what should I be doing next? And the universe kept answering, and I was ignoring it. I was ignoring the messaging. So my biggest aha moment is that sometimes you ask for things and you get the answer. It may not be what you're expecting, but you're getting the answer. So that was really my biggest aha moment. And then I went with that. And then here I am. Now I have a whole full career business based on, my finally listening.
What was the answer you were getting specifically, or as much as you can?
I was like literally sit on the edge of my bed, and I would say, okay, I need to do something with my life. Like what does that look like? Like, am I supposed to work for XYZ company that's a mile away? Am I supposed to go back to the studio that I used to work at? What am I supposed to be doing? And at the same time, I was in a cooking group with a chef who would come and teach us once a month different recipes. And I didn't really need to go to this class. I was just doing it because it was fun. And my friends would literally ask me during the class, what would you do in place of this? Like, how can I make this healthier? How can you make this recipe so that my kids would eat it? You should be teaching this class. Or I
Wow.
would have dinner parties all the time, like casual, no big deal. And my friends would be like, can I have that recipe? Can you show me how to make this? Can you take me to the farmer's market? I mean, like literally, they were asking me to do this. And I was like, that's so funny. I could never be a cooking. I don't know how to do that.
I love that you say how from when you were a child, you were into cookbooks, going in the kitchen instead of playing outside. I mean, you have this calling, and I guess it does take a long time to hear what your calling is for some people. Some people are lucky and they know I'm going to be an artist or whatever. But in your case, it took longer, but we're glad we're glad that you listened to the call.
Listen, I try not to beat myself up over it because when I graduated college, there weren't the same opportunities in food that there are now. Okay. I mean, I guess I could have been a cooking instructor, I suppose, but I didn't want to be a caterer. I didn't want to be a restaurant chef. I didn't want to work in a hotel. Like, what other options were there, really? So it's different now. The internet has really changed the game. It's been, you know what has happened, but I don't like to beat myself up over the fact that I couldn't see what the future held. You know what I mean?
It's a fantastic story, and I love that you had already a community that knew who you were and wanted more from you.
The other thing is I also learned pretty quickly that you can't wait too long to start something. I mean, this just is talking about like a business idea, really. uh, I was slightly intimidated, and I thought to myself, well, I'm not really trained to do this. I'm trained to do other things, but I'm not really trained to do this. But then at the end of the day, I was also thinking, I do this all the time for my friends. I'll just teach them what I know. and I'll teach them what, we all want, which is just how to feed our kids healthy food and not make it stressful and like kind of find ways to make it easier to do the things we want to do. That's sort of like one of my mantras is just to, when there's something you want to do, how do you make it easier to do those things?
Yeah, and also the fact that you came from a large family and that was just a part of your lives is putting on these meals for a lot of people, which is not natural to everyone. And that probably helped you because I have a sister-in-law who does that. She's like, I got 20 people coming over for blah. And I'm going, I would have a total meltdown and nervous breakdown about that.
Okay, so bingo. So this is another life lesson that sometimes I share with people when you maybe feel like you are on some meandering path and you don't know where it's going. I really like to think that the path you're on is the path you're supposed to be on. Okay, so yeah, I learned by osmosis how to do the things that I'm teaching people to do. I mean, my parents were like, we are not eating fast food. We don't do that here. So I was like, okay, I wish we could. Like, I wanted to be a little bit more American, but it wasn't in the cards, and that's fine. But, I learned how to garden and I learned the importance of organic produce and healthy food and eating seasonally and being a family and eating together at the table as much as we could. So those were just, that's how I grew up. I kind of thought everybody did that,
Yes.
but then I realized that people didn't. And, I also learned that to bring people together for a meal is important, it's special, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
And it's one of the keys to longevity, apparently, too, because having those connections make you want to stay healthy and alive longer, and it actually contributes to it. So it's a fantastic, well, it's a pillar, our pillar, which is connection. And having a big family that does that is just a huge part of one's longevity plan, really.
I love that that is one of your pillars because it is one of, I'm sure you're familiar with the blue zones. It is one, right, one of their pillars as well in terms of things that contribute to a longer lifespan, a healthier lifespan. Something that I have actually tried to focus a little bit more on post COVID is kind of entertaining at home, but not entertaining in a fancy way, more like get together with people. Do it however you can. People are losing connection. They are losing like real contact with people. It is so important. And it's like a missing nutrient. So something that I have sort of shifted because I can't do everything, right? Something that I've sort of shifted with the messaging and, kind of my focus is not just on like recipes, but also on like how you can invite people over, how you can be social and not be intimidated, not be stressed out by it, because it's what I hear all the time. Like people feel like they're going to be judged or, they feel like they see things on social, on, Instagram, these gorgeous like tables and these beautiful platters, and like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? People are so delighted to be invited because nobody does it anymore.
What a great point. We're all a little bit intimidated, or not all of us, obviously, but yeah, just do whatever it takes to get those people together and have enjoy each other's company because that's the real goal. And of course, healthy food is the other real goal.
I wonder though, because I mean, Gab, you even just mentioned like if you were having 20 people over, you would have a meltdown. And I think I've experienced that with you a few times where you want to have people over, but then it's like, it's this whole thing. I feel like Pamela can help.
Here's the thing. You start, my mother was an Adele Davis fan. She was total Whole Foods, everything, and she was very good at stews and that kind of thing. Just an amazing cook. Also, Buko was amazing, but not a baker and not a dessert person. That's fine. But I'm more very plain cook. I know good food, but to go from, a pasta dish or just chicken with rice and a good vegetable to what your recipes are. And I was just reading about the chickpea pasta one, which I love, and I'm gonna try it. And I'm going, am I gonna like it? I'm gonna like it. I think I will, so I'm gonna try it. But to go from plain old good nutritional cooking to special, that's the a little journey I'd like to take more of without it being too time consuming. And I think that is what your message is.
You do the best that you can with the resources that you have, right? I actually don't have a lot of time. So I've got a little formula for what works for me. Ironically, I went to a friend's house for a dinner the other night. She made so much more food than I ever would have made for the same number of people. She seemed a little overwhelmed, like maybe she bit off more than she could chew, so to speak. And that I don't do. I don't do that. I kind of know what I am capable of. And not, I don't mean capable because I can really cook anything. I just don't necessarily want to be cooking for 3 days when I have my friends over. I don't have time for that. I work very full time. So I do what I can. Now, I am not opposed to mixing a little store bought with a little homemade, or doing like, if one of your um greatest hits is like, how to roast chicken, like I am the most amazing chicken roaster, you can go buy a sauce to serve with that chicken, or you can find something on social, Pinterest or Instagram, for how to plate that chicken in a prettier way with maybe some herbs and lemon. And all of a sudden, it looks a little chefier. I mean, I've got some little, things in my back pocket that I will put on a platter just to make it look a little bit more entertaining worthy, but it's still the same food, right?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know that people are expecting to be like wowed when they go to your house or my house. Like, it's kind of not about the food. I mean, I actually taught an entertaining course, taught it many times. And one of the biggest sort of like, not like a secret, but I'm like, I have to admit, it's not really just about the food. Like, yeah, you want to feed people and you want there to be enough food and you want it to taste like decent enough, but that's kind of not the point of the brunch or the dinner or the happy hour or whatever you're doing. It's really about the connection. It's really about spending time with people. And I like entertaining at home more because it's more relaxed, it's quieter, it's less expensive, and you get more time with people. And I mean, these days, going out to eat it's not what it used to be. It is so much more expensive, especially for young people. It's not always the healthiest. And you can't eat that way all the time. And then also, a lot of restaurants are like, okay, 90 minutes and you're out. Well, I'd like a little bit more than 90 minutes with my friends. So, it's like, to put so much emphasis on the food is like, I think we're missing the mark. Another thing is, there have been times where I've invited people over and I'm like, ooh, I am really busy leading up to this dinner party. I am going to take people up on their offer to bring an appetizer, bring a dessert, bring a bowl of fruit, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. One of my other tips, if you will, is I make my list of what I want to make. I put my schedule together because that tells me, can I do this? And then if there's something extra I want to do, like let's just say for the dessert, I'd love to make a homemade caramel sauce. I write next to it, if there's time. That way, you don't feel like you have to make that caramel sauce. You can just give yourself some grace. Like, that would be nice to have a caramel sauce if there's time. And if there's not time, you don't need it, and it's okay. And I think just in general, what I'm trying to teach people, whether it's entertaining or meal prep or, whatever it is, Thanksgiving, blah, 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 is you have to come up with the systems that work for you, right? And you have to do the things that resonate with you. So that might not resonate with you, but it resonates with me.
It's wonderful, and we get so inspired by watching you. And it's funny because we were talking about 20 people. For me, 20 people or five or six people is the same amount of drama. I will way over prepare, and I don't have that scale ability thing where you go, oh, it's only six people. It's nothing. I will go and just make it into a 20-person thing. So this is very helpful, and just providing perspective is
But
good.
you know what, Gabriella? I mean, I also have to say practice, practice. Like practice, I don't want to say makes perfect, but anytime you do something, the more you do it, the more you learn. And there's a learning curve to this, just like anything else. But I am a religious list maker and note keeper. So my computer has virtually, every dinner party menu plus schedule that I've done for the last, I don't know how many years. Every holiday, I have a document. I literally copy and paste into the next year, and then I make some tweaks. Same thing with Thanksgiving. I have a whole binder. I've printed out my schedule for the last, I don't know, probably. I mean, I've been doing Thanksgiving for 30 years, but I probably have the last 20 printed out.
That
So,
would make a great book. Can I just say
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm aware.
Why doesn't that
You're
exist?
aware.
Is this in the works?
No, I mean, I could write a book on entertaining in 2 seconds flat. I just don't know that I want to promote a book on entertaining. The promoting of the book is harder than writing the book.
Yeah, interesting. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, so that said, I don't have the best memory when it comes to, the dinner party that I threw with these six people 4 years ago. I just don't. So I can go back and I can look like, what did I make? And what's the timing of it all? I mean, there have been times where I'll take a dinner party menu and I'll just repeat it 6 times during the summer. Who cares? It's different people. And it's like I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I know how much I made. I know
So
how much was
smart.
left over. I know when I have to do what. I know when to put the chicken in. I know when to put it's just like that's what works for me.
That's so smart. Yeah, that is a really good one. That's
And I
great.
think one takeaway that I'm getting from everything that you're saying, Pamela, is allow yourself to make it easy, which I know you said at the very beginning, is you're all about just make it easy. But I think people, me, Gab, I think you do this as well. It's like we have this idea of what it should be like,
Mhm.
and maybe even that it should be really hard, or that you can't just do the same thing over and over again, or that you can't not have a caramel sauce, or that you can't ask someone to bring dessert. Like there's all of these ideas in our head about what it looks like to host a meal.
You're absolutely right.
What you're saying is just like throw that out and do what works for you to make it easy. And then you'll actually do it and you'll enjoy it and it will be better.
Right. And then the next time you can do something more or different. And I mean, suffice it to say, not everything that I've done has turned out great. I've had my own like snafus and things where I had to kind of pivot and whatever. I just, what? Here's the other thing about age. Like, you just don't care that much anymore. I mean, it's not like I don't care about having my friends over. I want to have a nice evening for them, but like, I am not doing this to impress anybody. Do you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? That's not the
Yeah.
point. I have nothing to prove. And I'm going to be very honest. A lot of times people don't invite me over because I know it's very sad, but
Yeah.
they don't invite me over because they feel, as I've heard, a little, intimidated because they think that like maybe my dinners are so elevated or whatever, which they're really not. And if somebody invited me over and served tuna sandwiches, like I would be so grateful and so delighted.
I love that you said that. I really, it just is sinking in here that, I can't put a meal like you do, at least not right now, but anything I do will be welcomed and it will bring people together, which is the real goal here. And it will
Anything.
feed them nutritionally.
Another thing, like, now that I am this age, and when I say this age, I just mean this kind of menopause age, okay? That's what I really mean because when you go into menopause, a lot changes. A lot of my friends are in menopause too, okay? We don't need gigantic meals and tons of alcohol anymore, okay? In fact, that doesn't really work for us. So, we talk about this. Like, what are ways that we can spend time together and not overconsume? Okay. So, I have a little rummy cube night once a month with some girlfriends, and we decided no appetizers, no desserts, no booze, just like a healthy meal because it's usually like a weeknight. So one person hosts. If it's takeout, it's takeout. If it's homemade, it's homemade. But in general, it's like some sort of a big salad with some grilled chicken on top and, maybe a little like avocado and guac situation and some like chips. It's nothing fancy and we just feel good. Like we have our time together, we play our games, we get home early, we feel great the next day. We all can go to work and like wake up fresh and all of that. And it's just like we had to talk about it because I think sometimes everybody, is thinking something, but you don't want to be the one to be like the party pooper. But like, we're just so much happier doing that. And I've posted about that before on my Substack or in my Instagram, and people are like, oh, really? Like, you can get away with that? I'm like, what do you mean? We're all on board.
So great that you said that because it is a time of life when we just can throw off some of these expectations of ourselves from others, whatever, and just be freer. And it's huge. It's a huge thing.
But that said, also, I can't get away with the same things anymore that I used to be able to get away with. That is just those are the hard cold facts. I am not really a drinker. I think I have one cocktail maybe every 3 weeks, if that. Can't eat dessert multiple times a week. Cannot eat 3 big meals a day anymore. Not that I was ever eating 3 big meals a day, but 3 big meals, that is not happening for me. I mean, I'm also a small person. I'm not a tall girl. I'm under 5'4". So, there have been some changes that we're all like my friends and I at least are making. I've increased my protein. I kind of didn't believe in that before. I was like, we all get enough protein. It's fine. It's fine. Not so. So after a certain age, and I've been playing around and I'm starting to see the results of my experiments and higher protein levels work better for me. So it's just been kind of also interesting how my girlfriends and I are sharing different changes that we're having to make. And I think that's really important as we go through life is just to be open to changing your mind, right? You could think that a certain way of eating worked well for you, and it's okay to change your mind.
It's such a great point. And it's a good segue actually, because I wanted to talk a little bit about something that we feel really passionate about, which is healthy food and food that makes our bodies feel good.
When I was 30, if I felt my jeans tight, I just would like not eat a piece of bread the next day. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
I can relate. Yeah.
it's just not that hard, okay? It wasn't that hard for me, okay? Now, I went into menopause and like boom, boom, weight gain like very quickly and a nice little chunk of it. And I didn't do anything differently. It was just unbelievable. And so I thought, you know what? This is going to be fine. It's going to come off. It's going to be fine. I'm just going to stay active. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. I eat healthfully, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I hate to say it, but you can eat whatever you want. You just can't eat as much of it as you want sometimes.
Portion control.
It does matter. It does matter. So I am really just, I think to myself, like, how do I want to feel? Like, I have a day to get through. I want to be focused. I want to feel positive. There are certain types of foods that do not elevate my energy level. Like I don't like that. Um, I would I don't want to have to buy a whole new wardrobe. I'm not trying to stay skinny. I'm just trying to feel like strong. So going forward, the writing is on the wall, okay? I see what is ahead of me. I'm going to be 56 and I see that, women's muscle can decline, our bones can weaken, um, our cognition can start to go, my cholesterol can get elevated. These are things that I know can happen. And so I want to, for as long as I can, just feel as good as I can. And I want to be strong and I want to be flexible. And um, so I'm doing some different things right now. And some of it has to do with food, but some of it is also a change in my workouts that has made a very big difference. I'm supplementing with a few things that are definitely helping, like creatine and some amino acids. And I'm a little bit more intentional about my portions, whereas before I really did not think about it at all.
Really interesting. And on the subject of your workouts, I'm curious because you say you exercise. Just give us a typical thing you do or a week of how you exercise. I'd be really interested in that.
Yeah, so I exercise generally 6 days a week. I mean, sometimes I do a little something on that seventh day. I really enjoy pickleball. So I play 2 to 3 times a week, and that is social for me, and it's also exercise. So I love it. I was a tennis player growing up. I absolutely love pickleball. I live in Los Angeles, so I can play all year round. It's my favorite thing to do. I also live at the beach. So I do a lot of beach walks. In fact, my husband and I will very often add in an extra walk in the evening. So either before dinner or after dinner, we will walk down to the strand right on the ocean and we will take a walk. And sometimes we'll just say, like, 20 minutes, okay? Like, let's just do 20 minutes. And 20 minutes turns into 40 or 45. But, it's also a way for us to connect, to talk without our phones, without any other stimulation. I also walk with my girlfriends. So that's a nice way for me to be social and catch up with a friend, like even if it's 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'll do beach walks. And then I strength train. So, strength training, I do 3 to 4 times a week. That is new for me. I've only been doing this probably for a year, and it has been a game changer. So, I was doing some random YouTube workouts, which were great. They were great. I mean, I shouldn't say it's totally new for me because I worked out with a personal trainer many years ago, but it was only once a week. Once a week is not enough, my friends. It's just not. Just get it in your head. Strength training is very important, and you have to do it 3 times a week minimum. So I was doing these random YouTube workouts, and they were fine, but I don't know what I'm doing. I just pick ones based on the amount of time that I had. Whereas, like, if I'm doing strength training Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and either Saturday or Sunday, you kind of have to know what part of the body you're working out on a Monday and then do something different on the Tuesday. So I wasn't really doing that. So now I found this app called Future Fit, and it has like you get assigned a personal trainer. I mean, you pick them and then you tell them, like, oh, well, these are my weaknesses and this is the type of equipment I have. And then she designs my workouts and I put it on my TV and I've got my weights and so I do that. And that's been good for me. So, and I don't have to spend them because I'm not going to spend, hundreds of dollars a week on a personal trainer working out 3 to 4 times a week. And I also don't know enough about strength training to know what to do. So those are my workouts. I mean, would I really like to find like a hot yoga class? Yes. I used to do that. I haven't found one like by my house. So like that's something that's sort of like in my head I'd love to do. I would love to maybe start up Pilates again. I used to do a lot of Pilates. So, those are things that I enjoy. I'm not going to do anything I do not enjoy.
Yeah, it's you've got the whole thing, which is the cardio with the pickleball with the social, and then the walking, which is so good, and then the strength training, which I've just added more, and a lot of women are hearing how important it is for our bones. So sounds like you've got that, and you've got weights at home, so you're not going to the gym. You're using this app, which is really interesting, and making your own workout, and you can keep your commitment to yourself by doing that. Like, do you set up a special time that you're doing the weights?
Yes, I'm a morning person. I get up, I do my water with my powders and my potions, and when I wake up, I put on my exercise clothes and then I do my workout. I've always done that. Even when the kids were little, I would wake up at 5:30, whatever. I would get it in, everybody go off to school, and then, I start my work day. So my commitment to myself is that I need to start my work day at 9 a.m. as if it were like a normal job.
Mhm.
That way, I know that the workout needs to be done by whatever. I shower, I get dressed, and then I'm ready to start at 9 a.m. That's how I do it. And then, if I get an opportunity to do an extra walk, at again in the evening, I'll do it. Walking is the best. There is, I mean, if you can't do weights, but you want to do something, walking is amazing. So, I'm trying to add in as much extra walking as I can, and it's really nice. Plus, I believe in the benefits of being outside.
Yeah.
So I think that is really healthy for us. I've never regretted a walk. I've never felt worse after I've taken a walk.
Very inspirational.
Yeah, I know I'm inspired. I love the point about putting your exercise clothes on when you wake up. I think that's brilliant.
I don't know any other way. And plus, once I get on my computer, it's over. I'm not,
It's
Yeah.
over.
I can't stop that and then move on to a workout. Like I've tried to tell my mom, my mom is amazing. She's the best person ever, but she just didn't grow up in a
Yeah.
generation that I don't know if value is the right word, but like movement and exercise. And she's just never gotten into the habit. And I'm like, Mom, just when you wake up in the morning, if you put your exercise clothes on, you'll be more inclined to, go for a walk or do a video or something. But I don't know, if it's just not your habit, it's not your habit.
I understand that very much because that happened with my mother, and you could just see that the arthritis was destroying her, but you couldn't get her to realize that it's movement that helps deal with it, not stopping moving. That it's very tough to watch, but you're right, it's a different generation, and we're lucky, we're so fortunate to the science now about movement is so overwhelming and wonderful.
It is not controversial. I mean, it really there exercise slash movement. If there's one thing that you want to, do, if there's something like you could say, like, okay, pick one like magic pill. I really think it's movement. My father never went to a gym in his entire life. He was so fit up until the day he passed away. And all he did was walking, gardening, lifting heavy things outside, but he would spend a lot of time, gardening. He grew up on a farm, so it just came
Yeah.
sort of naturally to him anyway. But like that was his movement, and it was good. It was good for him, and he loved it. And so movement can take the form of different things. It doesn't have to be this. First of all, I don't even like the gym. I never even go to the gym anymore. But it can take the form of different things. And there's so much free content now. Oh my gosh, like we have no excuses. You can find something for every level, every age, um, on YouTube. There's a wealth of content.
Yes, Movement Living has a YouTube channel with tons of fitness content. There you go. I agree. We agree and we love it. It's wonderful.
I'd love to actually segue back a little bit just quickly to food, because one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you was about one, like what are your go-to meals
Mhm.
that are easy and healthy? And do you like how often do you change your go-to things that you're making?
Great question. First of all, I'm going to just say it depends in terms of like what the go-to meals are. If it's just for me, I have go-to meals. If it's for my husband and me, I have different go-to meals. When the kids are home or when I was cooking for a family, because I don't have kids at home anymore, I had different go-to meals, right?
Mhm.
So, when my kids were pretty good eaters. My son was a terrible eater up until a certain point, so he was always a little bit challenging. But in general, like I had, sort of my greatest hits with the kids. So if it's just for me, when I eat at home for myself, I do one basically like two go-to meals for just me. One is either some sort of a chopped salad, kitchen sink salad. I really don't care. And I have a couple of dressings like in my back pocket. Usually one or two are already made because I love eating salads. And like I said before, I try and make it easy for me to do the things I want to do. Having a salad dressing already made, not that I need one because I could just do oil and vinegar and salt and be done, but that makes it easy for me. Having clean lettuce, then I know that I can put a salad together. So I do a lot of chopped salads, especially for lunch. Another thing that I do almost like all the time, like for a quick meal for me, is some sort of a saute, okay, or a stir fry. I chop things up, I start sauteing them, garlic, some crushed red pepper or Calabrian chilies, and then what else do I have? I am a really big fan of using things up. It's just in my DNA. I'm hardwired to not waste food. And so I find little bits of stuff and I throw it in there. And then I'm always going to add a protein of some sort. If I have nothing, I will scramble some eggs and throw it into this stir fry. Okay. Usually I have some canned fish because I love it and it makes for a really easy protein. So if I happen to have some leftover chicken, I can throw that in there. I generally have canned beans. I generally have pre-cooked lentils. These are all good proteins, and I toss those in there. I'm never unhappy with that. I always find it to be very delicious and satisfying. I usually have some basil lying around, throw it in there. If I have a spoonful of pesto, I'll throw it in there. Like I don't really care. It's just like I just want to eat something healthy and fresh, and that is good for me. Those are the things that I make for me. For my husband and me, we eat a lot of seafood. And so I always have frozen fish in the freezer, individually wrapped pieces. I'll thaw one out. We'll either have I call them these deconstructed salmon sushi bowls. And so I'll make some sushi rice. If I don't want to eat the sushi rice, I'll make myself cauliflower rice, make a piece of fish. I've got a little like quick soy and sesame drizzle that I'll put on that and whatever vegetables I have. I do a lot of bowls for my husband and me. It's just really easy. we love Mexican food and we love Italian food. So I also do things very simply where I may have some pre-made spice rubs. So I'll just put that on a piece of chicken and grill it or roast it if I have a bone-in piece of like these are just very simple things that the two of us are very happy with some roasted vegetables. Like I love there's a brand that I don't know why nobody's heard of them called Sadaf. They have the best high quality spice blends. And so I can just take their chicken shawarma blend or their Mediterranean whatever blend and just rub it with a little alcohol on some chicken and roast it. And we're like, that is so delicious. Like, so very easy. And then in the winter time or when the weather gets cooler, we love soup. I can throw a soup together in no time flat. So, my husband doesn't have, how can I say this nicely? He doesn't have as expansive a palate as maybe I do. So he's a little more limited in what he actually really enjoys. I eat a lot of different things. But so I'm just saying I'm kind of catering to him a little bit, but I make a ton of soups and I don't need a recipe for it really because they're all sort of formulaic. And so those are like the things that I really like to make a lot of now. And soups are great because, first of all, they're very easy to digest. It's a great meal at the end of the day because it's filling, but it's still light and digestible. And it can use up different things. And then you can have some leftover for the next day, or you can freeze it. And so we really enjoy soups.
Do you create your own stock and freeze it?
Yes.
Or, yeah, you save up all the chicken bones that everybody was going to throw away and you put them. Okay, so you do that, you have the stock. Sometimes do you ever buy good organic stock to supplement anything like that to make
Not
it?
I'm not opposed to that. It's just so, I save all these chicken bones and carcasses. I throw them in my crock pot, my slow cooker, and I have it as free. So when I see the price of chicken stock, I'm like, oh my God, I could have made that for free. Really? I'm not opposed to it though. Like there are good quality stocks out there, but it's just not hard for me to literally throw it into a slow cooker and turn on the slow cooker and then I have it.
You have it, yeah.
So I put them in something that I've changed in the last like 5-ish years is I now freeze my stock in these silicone molds called super cubes. And it is so much easier because you could literally pop them out and you don't have to thaw them. Like, so I could just actually use them from a frozen state. Whereas before, if I was freezing them in glass jars or you have to thaw them and it's like a process. But this has been really helpful to just like pop them out of these silicone molds and then just like throw them into a pot.
Do you have storage, say freezer storage, any extra or anything like that? You must, right? That helps.
My parents, I always grew up with a house that had like just a standard refrigerator and freezer in the kitchen. And then my parents always had one in the garage. Okay. Because my parents entertained a lot too. And so I was like, I need to have two refrigerators at all times. And so when I then started teaching, and I was teaching 4 days a week, and so I needed a lot of stuff for 4 classes a week. Then my second fridge became my work fridge. But before that, we would keep drinks in there, and it was just nice to have the extra storage for stock and casseroles and things like that. But also, I was always a shop once a week person, so you fill up the fridge. I mean, I needed this space. Now I have a lot of space. I have a big fridge, big freezer. I have two refrigerator drawers. And then in my work office, I have another refrigerator with a freezer.
Which makes sense because that's what you do.
What I do.
What you
Yeah,
do.
that's what I do.
Thanks for sharing that. It helps us to get our head around what we actually need, what we can prepare, that kind of thing. It's very helpful and it's fun.
When my husband and I in our other houses, like the refrigerators that we had in the garage were always these like no big deal ones. I mean, they were not fancy. They were like cheap, but they got the job done, and it was always so helpful to have them.
That's interesting because I think, you could think, oh, freezing stock, I don't have room in my freezer to freeze stock and this and that. But it's like, oh, but you could just get a really cheap extra fridge and stick it in your garage and then it's solved.
When I go to my mom's house and my sister, one of my sisters lives across the street from her, another sister, she'll come in with her kids and like we're cooking for 15 people. And my mom does have a second fridge in her basement that she keeps off when we're not there, but then turns it on right before I get there because we need the space.
That's
And
good.
yeah, it's just helpful.
Being ready to cook for a lot of people, that helps as well. Not everybody's got the garage, but even my own freezer, I've got stuff in there that it can either go away or it can be relocated. Too many, I got a lot of freezer block things for picnics, come on. So I think you can manage your space better too as well and just use that freezer that you already have.
I think a lot of people, like during the lockdown, during the pandemic, started using their freezer as like a place to just, they would buy things in bulk and then like shove them in there. And then kind of when we got back to normal, we were like, what is in our freezers? It's a really good idea, though, to sort of get in touch. And I posed this challenge to my community at one point, which was like, just try and use one thing a week from your freezer. And
Good.
like that way you can just sort of get rid of stuff. And if you don't know what something is, just deal with it. Open it, thaw it out, try it. If it doesn't work, no big deal. But like, I love cleaning out the freezer.
I'm inspired. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
do
I
it.
love that too.
I'm gonna do
It's
it now.
so, that's a great idea. Great idea for sure.
I know we're nearing the end of our time, but I wanted to ask a question. I think obviously you grew up so immersed in this kind of Whole Foods household and food as this big connection point. For someone that it doesn't have that background and it maybe doesn't come so naturally, are there a few tips that you have to start shifting your mindset about food, like towards the whole food, seasonal, farmers market kind of approach from, a more standard American style of eating?
I think it depends on where you're at and how you like to make changes. Most people can't do a big overhaul like overnight. That just generally doesn't work. So it's more like, what's something that would resonate with me? Like, what's something that is doable for me? Is it making my own salad dressing? Like, I could probably do that. And then, maybe we'll be eating more salads or, what's a change that I can make that's not going to feel too extreme. So, it just I think it really just depends on where people are. I'm not like I'm not the kind of person though that's going to tell people how to eat. I hate to not have the right answer for you, but like everybody kind of should be eating differently anyway, based on your preferences, based on uh, your sensitivities, your intolerances, what works for you. I also have always encouraged my community and my students to try and make a connection between what you eat and how you feel. That to me is just how I live. But I would say I wouldn't just kind of overhaul your pantry, your fridge, your diet, your meal plan overnight, because that also will be met with a lot of resistance from your family. I do believe, though, in meal plans. I do believe in taking a minute, 5 minutes, whenever you think you're going to go grocery shopping, to think about your week ahead. What does that look like for you? What is doable for you? What are what are some things that, could be easy to cook? I mean, ultimately, the reason I started my business was just to help people cook more from scratch. I don't really care what you cook. I just, to cook more. So, what are you going to do to make that easier for you? There's nothing more helpful than meal planning. My mom did it. I did it because my mom did it. I just didn't know any other way. So, I don't really do it much now because I can make things sort of on the fly and I don't have to plan for, feeding a family. But when the kids come home, I do set up a meal plan. When I go to my mom's house and I'm cooking for three families every single meal, or we're all cooking for three families, I do set up a meal plan. Most people cannot, at 5 o'clock, make a great dinner with what they have on hand. That's
Right.
really hard to do. And it's really stressful. And I can't live with like the dinner cloud over my head. I just was not able to do that. I was trying to get through a work day, right? And focus on the kids and on, my relationship with my husband. And I just don't want that taking space in my head, like what should I make for dinner? So that to me, I mean, if I'm going to give you one piece of advice, like on how to shift to cooking more and more with whole foods, is to like really come up with a meal plan every
And
week.
this is such a obvious question, but like, what is a meal plan? Like, what is it? Just writing down what you're gonna make?
That's all it is. So I didn't do a meal plan for breakfast and lunch. I kind of had the same things that I would make the kids. Like if it was Monday, I was doing this for breakfast. It was Tuesday, I was doing this for breakfast. And the same thing for like school lunches. Um, but for dinner, I did come up with a meal plan. I actually post what I call a dinner planner on my website for free. I've been doing it for like 10 years. Comes out on a Friday night or into your inbox Saturday morning. And the meal plan starts on a Monday. So I used to have a little formula before I was started doing this for a living, and I would want a certain number of poultry dishes, a certain number of vegetarian dishes, a certain number of seafood. Um, I didn't eat that much beef, but the kids might like it. So once a week that we would go out on a Saturday night, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at my week. When am I making dinner at home? Okay. If we weren't going out, I was making dinner. So I would just also look at, who has a baseball game that's ending at 7:30? What can I do? All right, that's a slow cooker night. Husband's going out this night. Oh, I'm going to make something that I know he doesn't like. I'm going to make shrimp because we all like shrimp and he doesn't eat shrimp. So he's going out. So now I can make shrimp. It's like that's what I would kind of look at. And then I used to keep a binder of my favorite recipes. So I would photocopy recipes from different cookbooks and I would just keep them in this binder organized by category. And so it just helped me like not have to think too much about it. And I would just be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Let's do this. And oh, fajita is great. Let's do that. Sometimes I would ask the kids, but I'm not really democratic that way. I'm the director of this whole operation. And so I just figured, it's just easier if I just do it. And so that's how I would come up with my meal plan. And that way you can have some variety. I would base a lot of it on seasonality because that food is more available. It's fresher, it's less expensive. I did used to visit the farmer's market quite a lot. So, it's like that's what you're going to get. And that's the meal plan. So you can also shop accordingly and you're not just buying random stuff. If you know what you're making, you may have time to make something ahead, which is what meal prepping is. I mean, different types of meal prepping works for different people. I'm not going to spend all Sunday in the kitchen meal prepping, but if I have 10 minutes, I might decide to wash my lettuce and make a salad dressing and put that away. Or if I know I want to make soup later in the week, I might throw some chicken bones in a stock pot, a crock pot. So, like, it's the same thing with entertaining. Like, when you commit to your menu, then you can start taking action. When you commit to your meal plan, your dinner plan for the week, like, you might be able to do things. So it just frees you up so much.
I love your meal plans on your website. They're so helpful. But I'm going, oh, those are real meals. They're full meals. They're the whole thing. And I'm going, how would I just break all that down? But you have provided a lot of advice on that front, which is, be organized, be prepared, try to get ahead of things, and keep it simple, which is really helpful. Yeah, it's great.
But
Great.
the dinner planner that I post on my website is only just for inspiration. Like, you don't have to. I mean, if I put something with like a kind of different rice dish, just make basic rice. Like, who cares?
Who
Or
cares?
you can swap in something else. It doesn't matter. But it's just really just to sort of give you a little nudge, like, maybe today's a good day to create a meal plan, right? Or here are some ideas for you. The big problem that we have right now is we have too many choices.
God, you read my
Too
mind.
many choices.
Yeah.
We have decision overload. It's not good. So, a bad thing to do is you go to the office. It's Wednesday. You go to the office and you're like, what should I make for dinner? Should I have defrosted that chicken? Okay, I'm going to text my partner, what should we have for dinner? I don't know, whatever you want. Okay, that's not helpful. And then you go online and you're like, what should I make? I mean, don't do that. That is a disaster. So, if it's helpful to you to create your own binder at home, or if you like using apps, like, do it. And then who cares if you repeat things like week after week? My sister has a very big job. Her husband has a very big job. She doesn't have anybody cooking for her and her three children. She gets home and she is tired and she wants to put a nice meal on the table for her family. She makes the same five things every week for the most part. I mean, sometimes in the summer, maybe they do some different things, but like, she is making my lemon and thyme chicken cutlets. She has been making it weekly for like 12 years. Her family likes it. She's like, why reinvent the wheel? I'm like, why reinvent the wheel? Who cares? I mean, if you're going to make chicken somehow anyway, like, why not just make the same chicken? If nobody's complaining, great. Lucky you.
Brilliant advice.
It's so simple, but I'm like, my mind is blown. I'm gonna implement this today.
When I first started teaching, which was like, it was like almost 20 years ago. And, I'm trying to get people to cook more from scratch and obviously healthier food. We didn't have a lot of like the healthy meal helpers that we have now. Like, there was no good, clean chicken stock or seasoning blends. Like, everything had all this garbage in it. There were very few, like, sauces, enchilada sauces, like things like that. Um, it is so much easier now. I mean, there are gluten-free flour blends. Like, I was teaching people you would have to buy 7 flours and do these different ratios. And like, truthfully, it's so much easier now. And like, if you find a good, clean marinara sauce that you like, I mean, please go for it. If you find a nice enchilada sauce that makes your life easy, great, amazing. So and like, my kids all cook. My son's in college and he's not on meal plan anymore. I'm like, go to Trader Joe's, go into, look at some of these things where you can take like a basic piece of protein and then you can throw some, seasoning blend or like a little salsa on top or whatever. I mean, I'm just making things up at this point. But like, there are things that can help you to make it easier for you to cook more. You don't have to do everything from scratch. Maybe one day you're going to be like, you know what? I'd like to try and make my own whatever sauce. Like, great.
I feel like we could keep asking you for advice forever for selfish reasons, but I know we have to wrap up. So I want to wrap up really quickly with our movement living 5, which is 5 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Go.
In a few words, what does wellness mean to you?
Wellness to me is all encompassing. I mean, it's really a state of being in terms of like physical, but also your attitude. I think feeling like positive about life is wellness.
What's a daily habit that you swear by to feel your best?
Exercise,
Is there a health concern that you worry about the most?
definitely. Heart health and cholesterol because everybody in my family has heart disease, and my father died of a heart attack.
Do you have a favorite way to treat yourself?
I'm not good at that. I'm not, I'm a, I, I should do something to like give myself something, but my favorite like ritual that it's like really nice for me is making myself a double matcha in the morning. Like that to me is I look forward to that and that's my treat.
What's something that you're learning right now?
Like actually learning. Okay, not like a life lesson. Like
No, like learning, like,
yeah, I learned how to play Canasta.
oh,
It's a card game. I'm obsessed. It's amazing. It's like I love it because I love games and I love learning things. And it's really good for your brain to learn things. And it's also social because I play with friends and my friends and I learned it together. We got a teacher and it's been so good. I love it.
and I love that you guys got a teacher to come teach you. Again, I feel like it's you're so full of ideas of things that we wouldn't think to do. Like, let's get a teacher to come in and teach us this new game. Like, it feels like, wow, that's such a great idea.
It has sort of changed my life a little bit because it's connected me with some old friends. I've met new people. I even went on a trip with some other women and we played you were only invited if you could play pickleball and canasta. And that's all we did. It was the best 4 days ever. It was so good.
So fun.
I love it. We played when I was a kid. I can't remember how to do it, but we played all the time. So congrats.
Love it. Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Where is the best place to find you?
Very easy to find. I've kept my handles very simple. I am on Instagram and I respond. I do my own social. So I respond to all my DMs myself, and that's at Pamela Salzman. That's easy. I have a website. I respond to all my comments myself on my website. I'm on Facebook too. I've sort of given up on TikTok. It's not really my fave. I'm just being honest. But those are like the primary locations.
Well, it has been so wonderful talking to you, Pamela. I have a lot of takeaways.
I know. I
Um,
feel like we can keep talking
oh,
forever because we're all so aligned.
definitely. And I love how applicable your advice is. I know that our community is gonna love it, but for me, it's super helpful. And I'm, younger than most of the women in our community, but I'm like, I have young kids and I really struggle with the dinner cloud, like you were saying. And I feel more inspired to go into the kitchen and yeah, and even to like help my kids grow up in that and grow up in the kitchen and like be helping with the food and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so important.
That is something that I actually learned from my parents just by osmosis, just from them setting the example. And I didn't really teach my kids, like, I didn't say to them, like, this is what we do and this is what you're going to do. But they cook for themselves and they appreciate, healthy food. Even my son, it's just like, it's really makes me feel good. Like I did one thing right. So, so it's, when I did mommy and me classes with the kids when they were little, the teachers were always like, you need to model the behavior that you want, your kids to have. And so if you want your kids to have good manners and you want them to say please and thank you, they need to see you saying please and thank you. Same thing goes with, how we eat and whether or not we value being together at the table. I mean, it's the same thing.
Thank you very much for all your wisdom and just
So
your love of
wonderful.
life. It just comes through so much, and we appreciate that. And it gets better. And that's the one thing that does grow, I think, is if you can stay healthy, is your love of life as you get older.
You
And
can
so
stay
thanks.
healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you if that's well, we are trying,
we are
That's what we're
trying.
doing.
We're
Okay. Well,
great to meet you guys.
lovely to
Great
meet you
to
too.
meet
Thank
you.
For
you.
having
Thank
me.
you so much. Take
Have a
care.
wonderful
Bye.
day.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.